Now, so there are some interesting facts about this coronavirus. This RNA virus undergoes mutation, and last year, which we saw the virus from Wuhan, it is now at present, this virus is entirely different from that. It has mutated many times. It has become more transmissible and infectious. It is more lethal. It can escape immunity due to pre-existing infection and cause reinfection. Can cause immunity, can escape immunity provided by the vaccine also. So that's why when I see that even after taking 2 vaccines, many people are infected, but they get, due to some immunity, they get partial protection. It can reduce the sensitivity of RT-PCR test. It was initially more bulky, now it has become slim, trim, like a gym person, and easily penetrate the respiratory mucosa. Now there are 4 or 5 variants of coronavirus existing in the world now. In December, January, we saw that there was a peak of cases in Britain due to this mutated virus, and which was very infectious. Then came the South African virus, which had 9 mutations. And the peculiarity of this virus was it had caused infection in 70% of people who have previously infected. And our Covishield vaccine, which was not effective against this virus, hence they had not used our Covishield vaccine. Another variant is Brazil, which is similar to South African, and in India, which we saw now is a double mutant virus. More cases due to carelessness, and along with that, the main reason is due to severe infectiousness nature of this virus. Whole family is infected at a time. Now, if you see the pathophysiology of this virus get attached by ACE2 receptors, which are present in the oral cavity and nasal mucosa, and other receptors are present in the lungs, in the blood vessels, endothelium, and in testes. Disease progresses into 3 stages: virus entry and replication, spread to lungs and other organs, followed by hyperimmune response. Only a minority of children progress to hyperimmune response stage. Most of the stage, children, they come up to stage 1 only. Vasculopathy and coagulopathy is responsible for the complication of thrombosis and embolism in COVID-19. Now, multi-system inflammatory syndrome due to cytokine storm may be present with features of Kawasaki, which will be discussed later. Now, these are the stages of COVID infection. See, the first stage, viral gets entry into the respiratory tract in the throat and undergoes replication. This is the first week, first day 1 to day 7. Where you get fever, body ache, dry cough. Initially, it is dry cough, diarrhea, loss of taste, and loss of smell. What investigation in this stage you are supposed to do is WBC counts, where you get severe lymphopenia, you get elevated CRP and mild elevation of LDH. In the second stage, the virus moves to respiratory tract and in the lungs, where there are a lot of ACE2 receptors in the nematocyte type 2. It destroys that cell, and due to that, the surfactant is destroyed, and you start getting RDS, progressive dyspnea. And characteristic in this stage is the hypoxia, which is in this stage is called as happy hypoxia, because normally if you get saturation less than 95, you get severe breathlessness, but this breathlessness is not accompanied by restlessness. That's why it is called as happy hypoxia. And very few children, they pass into the hyperimmune stage, which is the stage of shock. You get ARDS, shock, thrombosis, and cardiac failure. Now, children are less affected because they have a strong innate immune response due to innate immunity. and due to secondary to live virus vaccines, and you get lot of viral infection in the childhood. While adults are more affected because they have suppressed adaptive immunity. And also in children, they have excellent regenerative capacity of pediatric alveolar epithelium, contributing to early recovery from COVID-19. The incubation period is approximately 5 days. Some studies 2 days to 10 days. Now, clinical phenotypes of this COVID-19 in children in pre-symptomatic phase. This is the time period between the exposure to the virus and development of symptoms. The child may be infectious during pre-symptomatic period. Second is asymptomatic phase. The test is positive without any clinical symptoms and signs, and the chest imaging is normal in this case. Children are identified during contact tracing are infectious. Then classic manifestation, fever, cough, cold, sore throat, shortness of breath, like all other respiratory illnesses. You get atypical symptoms like gastrointestinal symptoms in 5 to 10% of cases. You may get diarrhea, vomiting, acute abdominal pain, acute abdomen, acute appendicitis like symptoms. And in few patients, you get cutaneous manifestations, which includes maculopapular, urticarial, vesicular eruption, and transient livedo reticularis. You get COVID toes, which are reddish purple nodules on the distal digits, seen predominantly in children and young adults. That is, these are especially seen in bladder disease, and you can get MISC, multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children. Now, previously most of the drugs are not used in OPD practice. Only remdesivir, steroids, and tocilizumab, which are used after admission of the patient. Now, this is important slide. If patient is isolated at home, you have to ask parents to maintain a monitoring chart, counting of respiratory rate 2 to 3 times a day, and looking for chest indrawing, nasal flaring, bluish discoloration of the body, cold extremities, a urine output, and oxygen saturation monitoring, and communication to a doctor. Then the child should be brought to the hospital if they have breathing difficulty, reduced activity, lethargy, overfeeding, altered sensorium, seizure, and saturation is less than 94. This is mild illness, and this is the treatment, home isolation. Most important thing is adequate hydration and feeding, and paracetamol 10 to 15 milligram per kg every 4 to 6 hourly, and report if worsening of danger signs. This moderate disease, if you have fast breathing, oxygen saturation is less than 95, 94. In moderate disease, you have to get admitted child to the dedicated COVID center or pediatric hospital. You have to do all this investigation, monitor the saturation. Now, sometimes if you have to give inhaled bronchodilators in case of wheezing, use meter dose inhaler with spacer rather than nebulization to reduce aerosolization.
Nana, please, last 2 minutes.
Yes. And empiric antibiotic therapies. This moderate COVID, you have to monitor and refer to the hospital for admission. Now, there are some important take-home messages. RT-PCR can remain positive for a long time, even after infection, even weeks or months. Previously, two negative swabs 24 hours apart were required for discharge. But now, according to new guidelines, these negative swabs, RT-PCR are not required. And if patient is isolated for 10 days and there are no symptoms for last 3 days, these can be discharged, or they can be declared clinically recovered. Mother with COVID-19 can breastfeed their newborn babies, taking proper precaution, as SARS-CoV-2 virus has not been detected in the breast milk. Loss of smell and loss of taste, they are very specific. Do RT-PCR test, and even if there is no fever, and you will get in many cases we get positive RT-PCR test. use of steroid should not be used in first 7 days unless there is hypoxia or saturation is decreasing. When to hospitalize the child if the child is home isolated. If fever more than 4 days, breathlessness, irritability, not feeding, severe loose motion, vomiting, and decreased activity, and saturation is less than 94. Now, PIMS immunological, it is just a immunological reaction to past COVID infection. Less lung involvement and more vascular involvement is there. PIMS in PIMS or MISC. Avoid nebulization, use MDI with spacers. RT-PCR positivity does not always imply positive infections. Hence, since it cannot distinguish between live and dead virus, and more genomic sequencing of virus is required to know more about this SARS-CoV-2 virus. Thank you. Stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Nana. You have actually excellently explained in very simple language regarding the pathophysiology as well as what is the mild COVID patient and how we can what are the variations which are available. So I think it was very excellent presentation. I request all of you to send the questions in the chat box, so that when in the final session we will have a question answer session which will be more interesting. So there are more than 77 pediatricians have joined, so I'm very happy about that, and I request all of us to send questions in the chat box, so that it was really excellent explanation regarding the common problem and